Pojďte klidně k nám dolů sem. Začínáme právě teď diskuzi.
A miért mennének oda hétre, én sem mennék.
The whole discussion will be in English.
Perfect.
Yes.
Hello, welcome to the discussion and then to the screening of the film Haragonics. And I'm really happy that I can welcome the two directors of the film, you can see behind me. And the whole discussion will be in English, but if you don't understand anything or if you want to switch to Czech, just tell us and we have a translator right here. Or to Hungarian. And this event is organized by One World in cooperation with the Prague Pride Festival. And we had this film this year. We had this film, this edition of the festival, and we wanted to screen them at the summer cinema, but we had a really horrible weather, so I'm really glad that we can screen it today at 9 here in Hungary. And right now I will just give the word to our moderator, Tomáš Brolík from Respect, and also to welcome our directors, Sári and Sári Haragonics. So,
Hello everybody. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Sári and Asia, for being here with us, here with us. Can you hear us? No.
It's very, very difficult to understand. You are talking, but it's coming from the pool.
maybe it'd be better
Because we are in the pool.
if you come here and not talk with the microphone.
Like this.
Yeah.
Is it better?
Klidně pojďte asi blíž.
So I don't see you, so that you're a bit weird asking questions. Being able to see you. Can you hear me well?
No.
No.
Probably.
Like this.
Perfect.
That's perfect. And you can see the audience. I'm there. So, we have like 15 minutes from now. So maybe tell us for the first question. Tell us something about Nóra and Virág, the movie. Something that the viewers want to figure out from the movie itself. So maybe how did you met them? How have you met them? How you met the girls and ladies? And yeah, that's it.
And please let me know if I'm too not loud enough or you cannot understand me, then just make signs. So the interesting thing is that maybe you know that the question of rainbow families and for gay people having kids is very, very, very different right now. There are lots of discussions, political discussions from that. But when we started to make this film with Sári in 2015 actually, so end of 2015, there was nothing like that. People actually didn't even know that there are rainbow families living in Hungary. And we actually went to Norway, where we met two Hungarian guys who adopted a child in Hungary, and then they moved to Oslo. And then they told us like how difficult it is, like how stressful it is to wait for a kid that you don't know if you will ever get a kid or not. And then we thought with Sári that it would be really, really nice to make a character-driven documentary with situations and really fun. So when we came back to Hungary, we started to ask around our friends if there is anyone who is waiting for a So Virág was waiting for 2 years at that time, and Nóra was just starting her process. Because in Hungary, as a couple, you cannot adopt a child if you are a same-sex couple. You can only adopt a child as a single parent. So they all, most of them, they went for the process as single parent. There was one thing we really liked about them, but maybe I will give Sári the word to say.
Yes, I can continue. So we really liked them, and they were quite open to us filming about them because they saw that it could be a nice. So we saw that they thought it could be nice to show this film to their child and also to show the gay community that it's possible to have a family. And what we really liked about them, that they told us on this first meeting that they are writing a book, a fairy tale for their future child. That they don't know her yet, but they are writing her how they were born and how they were raised, and everything about the history of the family where she will arrive to. And this will actually, that's how the film starts, that they are writing this book, and we were really fascinated about this. We saw that I also saw that when I will have a child, I would want to do the same, because usually you don't know anything about the past of your parents, or maybe if you ask them when you're a grown-up, but as a child, you don't know much about how they were waiting for you or preparing for your arrival and all of that. So that was the main reason why we decided to start filming with them.
And maybe just one thing to add, but we really hope that you will understand that from the film when you will be watching it, that our aim was to portray Nóra and Virág and their family, how is it being formed, how they find their own roles within this family. And we didn't put an emphasis on the fact that they are gay or that they are adopting. We were trying really to see the specificities about their family, about them, and then with this to give like kind of a picture about how it would happen in Hungary.
Yeah, that's what I actually want to ask. If you as a filmmakers were thinking about that as a movie about two people who are facing some obstacles, just two people who are facing something, who are solving some problem, who are going through anything, or if the topic of they are both gay and it's a rainbow family is crucial for you as a for the filmmakers. So was it rather a real story, or is it rather a story about rainbow family making?
For me, it's definitely at the moment when we decided to make a film about rainbow family, then the topic was very important because we thought that it's important to show different kind of families which are just as normal or just as colorful as heterosexual parents or families where there is only one mother or one father. So we thought that it's a really important topic. But for me, the moment we start filming, I forget about the topic. Then I only see those characters and I see their struggles, their questions, and for me, the universal questions and the universal topics are always there and they will become natural. But it's very important for me that I also keep myself open towards the topic, and I don't, I'm not closed in by the stereotypes or by my own expectations when I'm making the film. So I try to stay as open as possible, and we try to do the same here with this film.
Yeah, I agree with Asya. I had the same thoughts about that. What was difficult when we were making the film is that we really wanted to focus on the family story in this Hungarian context. And every time we went to a workshop abroad, everyone was interested how the political situation is in Hungary and how difficult it is and how they can get to know the Hungarian society or political context from this film. And first of all, it was difficult to show, and we never really wanted to show it, that much. We wanted to keep a good balance. That mainly it's about the family story. So I think that was for us one of the hardest challenges throughout making the film, that how to keep the political context just enough so people understand it, where this film is happening, but it's not too much.
Are you still in touch with Nóra and Virág? And yes, how often do you talk to them?
Yeah, we are still in touch. And many times they are coming with us on Q&A, so I'm really sad that they are not here now. And they are living in wait, we didn't see the things. We shouldn't say. We shouldn't say these things. Okay, then without spoiling, we can say that they are very, very happy now, all the three of them, with their kid. Maybe that you know already from the trailer that their adoption went through, and they become a family. And they are right now in Hungary for a 1 month vacation, and they still oh no, wait, I'm spoiling again. It's very difficult to talk like that.
Like all the time, but this is fine.
Yeah, so we talk a lot.
Yeah, we keep in touch throughout COVID. We also spoke a lot with them on Messenger, and then it was really nice that we had a screening in Linz, and Virág could be there in person, and then Nóra could come to some of the Hungarian screenings. So we, keep in touch with them constantly. They haven't seen the kid for quite some time, or at least I haven't. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I've seen her.
When we showed the film, no?
No.
Oh no, you saw them last summer maybe?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I visited them. But you will know, you will understand after watching the film why it's not that easy to meet them.
And if it's possible, while not spoiling, was there some moment which was difficult? I don't mean like from filmmaking point of view, but like for you as human beings. Was there some moment where it was difficult, the making of the movie, some situation which was hard? Was there something like that, or was it just normally difficult, like difficult-ish, movable stuff?
No, there were two types of difficulties. One with the financing of the film, because we didn't get any for a very long time. But the other difficulty was that we wanted to film a bit more in the bureaucratic places, and how people are waiting for a child, and what is happening in the system, and why it's so difficult. And then later, in all these official places. And they didn't want us to do that, because first of all, they wanted to protect all these people who are helping them inside the system, and also they didn't want to seem like, they wanted to seem like a normal family, and they thought that if the crew with the camera and the sound thing is behind them, then they will not look like normal. So that's why we couldn't film those things, and we were a little bit disappointed about that, but then I think it helped us to find new ideas and find the style of the film, which you will see that it's a camera, like a lot of situations are in their home, and I really like that it turned out like that. But as you can disagree.
No, I totally agree. And another difficulty which I felt like a human being and as a filmmaker, because I think with documentaries these two are really the same. So you are always there as a human being while having a camera in your hand. But what was also difficult for me, that because we were able to show their life from such an intimate closeness, and they were really open to let us in to every moment in their life, we really felt the weight of the decisions, like what to show and what not to show. So it was really, we were all the time thinking like, are we helping with being there, or are we doing any harm with being there, or trying to be very respectful with their time. So, for example, when there is a moment when their child arrives into the family, and it's a very, very important and very intimate period of every adopting family, because the first 2-3 months no one else can be there in the house, only the future parents. So that the child can understand that, okay, so this is my mom, this is my other mom, this is my new family. So for example, then we didn't go there and did not film at all. They filmed themselves. But in other moments we felt, and we are talking about this a lot with Sári, concerning other films as well, that being there with the camera and asking questions can also help. Because many times if you are in a difficult situation, then it's difficult to question your dilemmas or start a conversation about really difficult stuff. And then we as filmmakers, we just ask, you know, like, so how are you right now? And how do you feel about the process? Or how do you feel about each other as a couple? And then we started to talk a lot. So it's always this balance, to keep the balance that you should not do any harm in being there filming, but also maybe even to have. So for me personally, it's always this, it's a difficult question about documentaries. How much we are destroying with our camera and how much we can help and what is okay to do and what is not, even if the protagonists say, come and film whatever you feel like. So I think we are really struggling with this kind of responsibility. And of course then later comes what you edit into the film, what you show to the world, what you show to the public. You have maybe very beautiful moments, and then on the editing suit, we feel like, okay, it's beautiful, but still it's so private, we cannot show this to the world because it's just their own. So these are the questions we were struggling with a lot. But then when Virág and Nóra, they watched the film, they really liked it. After the first bumps of being shocked by, oh my God, there is really a film about us, then they really could accept it, and by now they learned to really love the film, and they're very proud of it, and they're going, yeah, as I said, they're going to festivals and Q&As, and they're very proud of presenting it.
And was it fun, the filmmaking? It doesn't have to be, there's nothing wrong with not being like super fun. But was it fun? Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't.
Sári?
It was fun. It was also difficult because, as you mentioned, these financial problems. That it really helped that we were together with Asia. So it's it was our first feature-length film, and then it was both on our shoulders, like because we co-direct it, so we could always count on the other one, and if one of us was down, that oh my God, it's so difficult now, and nothing is happening, or nothing ever will happen in this film, then the other one can really support the other or give support. So that was, I think that was a huge plus, that we were working together, and I think it's like sometimes like. It has amazing, beautiful moments, and then it has really, really down points when you're disappointed, we didn't really argue, but of course when we were editing, we had, we didn't always want to make the same cuts, and then we had an amazing editor, and then she was kind of helping us decide. But I think I also really enjoyed the editing period, because it was also a lot of laughing together and a lot of creative energy of how it's so interesting that we had like 100 hours of material, and how many different films we could have made from it. And I think probably if Asia makes a film of her own, or I make a film of my own, it would have been different than this. So this film could only be like that because it was like me and Nóra, editor, who were there all the time. So yeah, it was really nice.
Yeah, but also, like, it was fun from that point of view that we really got very good friends with Nóra and Virág, and we spent maybe a whole day of shooting at their living room, and then we spent the night there because they are living in a small village close to Budapest, so it was difficult sometimes to travel back to Budapest. We stayed there for the night, and we had a beer or red wine or something, and we talked a lot. So it really became on the border of being friends and being protagonists and filmmakers, and those moments I really like. And then there was also like, for example, what was difficult is that, you know, as I'm pretty sure like this happens all the time with friendships, when you have a couple who's your friend, and then they have an argument, and then you feel that you are on one side of the other person or the other person. And then many times it happened that because Sári is smoking and Nóra is smoking, they went out and they were smoking and they were discussing, and I stayed with Virág inside and we were talking, and then and then it really became like completely over of the filmmaker and protagonist relationship. And then when we were editing, we had our standpoints, and then like, yeah, but I understand Virág much more. No, I understand Nóra much more. And then these were also like really fun, way beyond the documentary or the filmmaker connections.
And also, like, we already spoiled that they do get a kid, so it's a super cute little girl, and we also got really close to her, and she was either all the time annoying us with jumping on Asia while she was holding the camera, or putting on the headphones with the sound and everything. She was super cute, and there's even a sentence that we will not understand, and we didn't subtitle it, but at the end of the film she says that, so Asia and Sári will never leave again, they will stay here forever. And this is also, you know, really nice that we got so much in her life.
Okay, so now I'll ask our guests if there's some question at this point, something you want to ask. There's a question.
I have a question. I'll come closer. How long did you spend with them, or how many years did you follow them for example? Or, you know, I think you said you had 100 hours of material, and so how was that spread throughout time?
I think we had even more than 100, but maybe I'm exaggerating. We were shooting almost a bit less than 3 years. And then we were editing with
2.5, she's exaggerating again.
2.5. And then we were editing for another 2 years, but with many stops. So that's why it was a very long process. And like, how much time we spent with them, there was really, it was like sometimes we went there for 4 days and we slept in their living room, and then maybe there was a month or 2 months when we didn't shoot at all, and then came again. So we had maybe 80 days of shooting, 80 days, or something like that. And then you will see in the film that Nóra, one of the protagonists, was also shooting with her camera. So that's also included in the film. And actually we got access to their private videos on Google Photos. So we could also like watch it through and use it as a material. And then it's also that there was also like lots of terrible news footage with Viktor Orbán and other Fidesz and right-wing members of our parliament, which we were watching and which is also included into the film every now and then. So that was also a very unpleasant but very long work when we were choosing those footages which we added into the film at the end.
So you speak to the political situation, and I know you told us before that you are filmmakers, who are in no way activists, or there is no advocacy or lobbying in any way from your side, but you spend a lot of time with a couple, or like representing a couple, and you know the people, you know the situation, you've seen them in a very specific situation of trying to get a kid, so you know things. You have some understanding. And so tell us how the life of not only homosexuals but LGBT people, how has it changed in the last 5 years in Hungary? What do you see? What do you see? What do you think? Do you assume?
We were just talking about it. I'm doing a summer camp at the moment in the countryside, and we were just talking about it with the others, that how many options do you have if you're an LGBTQ person in Hungary, and well, now it's basically impossible to have a kid, either through adoption or through insemination, or like they made everything that strict that it's basically impossible. So if you don't want to have kids, you either fight, and then you think that and then I think Virág was for a while also thinking that she has to stay here and fight. You either move abroad, you live in your bubble for I don't know how long you can do that, but then if you have kids, you can't do that anymore. Or there's a lot of really sad stories of young people committing suicide. So yeah, maybe I can add something, but that was our conversation before this Q&A, that we were talking about this, and it's, yeah, I'm right, Gemma, that's what you said.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's really a sad story. So in the last 2 years, and actually especially 1 year ago when our film was premiered, on that very week, this new attack of LGBTQ people in Hungary started. And the sad thing was that while we were shooting, Virág and our other friends were saying that the Hungarian government, they're always looking for like an enemy. And usually they are looking for, that they are choosing community, minorities as an enemy. There was, for a while, there were the migrants, then there were the NGOs, then there were before the first group was the Gypsies, then there was the Jews and George Soros. And so they are always looking for a minority. And in 2018, more or less, there was a new propaganda for the pro-Christian families in Hungary, and lots of like social benefits and all kinds of campaigns were just about that, to strengthen the heterosexual Christian families. And all the political analyzers were saying that the next group who this government is going to attack will be the LGBTQ communities. And yeah, in the film you will see that we are also mentioning some of these future threats which there might come, and unfortunately all of them happened in the following years. So in 2019 and 2020 there was really like the worst year for LGBTQ communities. And by now their horizon is just really like, it's shrinking so much that, as Sári was saying, most of the families, they just decide to move abroad. Lots of them to Austria, Germany, and just to move away because, like, just to give you a couple of examples, what happened recently is that there was a fairy tale book which had many fairy tales about different kind of families. There was also like not only rainbow families, but there were also like a black Cinderella or an adopted princess. So like all kinds of kid kind of heroines. And this book was destroyed publicly by one of the party members. And then a law came that gay propaganda cannot, if a gay propaganda is being conducted in a school or a kindergarten, then those kindergarten teachers can be punished, like really by law, like getting a fine or worse. And this became a law now, so they really made this law, went through the parliament, that gay propaganda can be punished. And what they call gay propaganda is actually, so now organizations who used to go to schools and used to talk about LGBTQ was talking about the fact that there are LGBT people in the world, and if you feel different, then you should where to go and who should talk to, and this kind of Sári, how do you say in English? Érzékenyítés. I'm really missing this word.
Yeah, they try to sensitize these young people.
You know what I mean? So if you go to kindergarten, or you would just maybe making...
Or just making them more open, you know, that they're making them more accepted, that there are that people living in different ways in the world.
So you cannot do this anymore to minors. So for example, our film cannot be shown to minors. It's 18 plus now. This kind of a discussion which we are having now, which we are planning to go to schools, we couldn't do that anymore. Of course, we said that we won't care and we will go, and if in a high school class would invite us to talk about these issues, then we will go, and we are very happy to show the film and invite the protagonists and talk about what the kids see. So, but this is all illegal now.
And, for example, last night we did this illegal activity here in this camp where I'm teaching teenagers actually in a small Roma community. And it was really weird that, you know, we thought to screen this film to them because it could be starting interesting conversation, and it could also, how I said, like, make them more open or question different things. And then I was thinking when we started screening it that if now some of them or one of them tells it at home or tells it like who, then you know, I don't know what would exactly happen to us, but it's completely illegal now to do that.
Yeah, so it's getting insane a bit.
Yeah, and this recent gay propaganda law and the constitutional changes from the last year, which says that father is a father, mother is a mother, and then there's a ban on changing of gender. And László Kövér, the Speaker of Parliament, they are one thing, that's the government action. On the other hand, when you look at the public the surveys, you see that Hungarians are getting more and more open towards LGBT people. It's just steady rise of, yes, I don't mind, or I like them, or something like that. So like Hungarians are getting more open. This is not felt by the members of the LGBT community that government is doing something, but their citizens are actually more friendly over the years. It doesn't outweigh the government actions, or is it felt somehow that the societies, at least the people say that they are more open?
I think this is very important what you're saying, because like we have one of the most homophobic governments, but the people, the Hungarian people, they are not as homophobic as the government wants them to be seen. So for example, this kind of propaganda talk, they are not that successful as when they were doing it with the migrants. People were much more open, unfortunately, for the anti-migrant propaganda. And also, if you see the gay pride in Budapest, it's always bigger and bigger. More and more old and young and all kinds of people are joining just to show their solidarity. And also now with this Facebook profile picture changing, you know, that you have this rainbow circle. I see them all kind of people that they are using this frame. But there's also like a big question, and that's the difference between the countryside and Budapest. Because in Budapest, people or kids, they have much more possibility to read these other kind of ideas. But in the countryside, they really, mostly they have only the state TV, the state radio, and they are just, I usually don't listen to them. But if I mistakenly switch them on, or I go into the shop where it's on, I'm just really terrified that there is this commercials, government commercials in between programs and in between, for example, Olympic games, when they are telling you that all this, that the EU wants to change the sex of your kid, the gender, and then they are going to like make your kids like brainwash their head and then they want to change their gender and like this kind of complete bullshit which you would think like it's impossible, that you just don't believe that we are exaggerating that this is happening, but it's really on the state TV and the state radio. So the problem is that they have just a whole crazy propaganda machine in their hands, and they are using millions of euros on billboards, like huge billboards, saying that there is this sexual propaganda coming from the liberals and the EU, and we have to protect Hungarian families. So even if I think people are much more open and against this kind of homophobic talks of the government, and the good thing is that many Hungarians, they have at least one friend who is gay, or at least they have one schoolmate they remember that was gay and they like. So they have at least real examples in front of their eyes, and they see like, okay, but they are not evil. But still, like, it's just a crazy propaganda machine which is trying to do this brainwash on people. So I'm really worried about this.
Yeah, but do you think that the government will succeed in this? Because with Roma and homeless people, which homelessness is illegal, was made illegal in Hungary, and with migrants, it was successful, actually. Well, in a way, it wanted to be. But do you think that this step, like to choose LGBTQ community as a target, which is a target, will it work, do you think? I mean, you say you are worried, but that's it. The difference is that it's very, very easy not to know anyone who is of gypsy origin, or not to any immigrant. It's quite simple not to meet anyone in Hungary or Czech Republic. But yeah, with homosexuals is different. Everyone knows someone. So how do you think it will work with government in the next weeks and months? Especially when the elections are coming. And yeah, the campaign is going to be tough from both sides. So
yeah, but it's different in that sense that everyone has a friend or knows someone in Budapest, but in the countryside it's still a taboo. Like here in these villages was also part of the reason why we screened the film, because there's a lesbian girl who is not, like, everyone knows she's gay, but she doesn't want to say. So, you know, it's still like, I don't know, I think it's so you know, in small villages people are pretending that it doesn't exist, this thing. But I'm wondering, and I think there were articles about this, I just haven't read that, why the Fidesz really thought it's something, that it's a good idea to go into this fight a year before the elections. Maybe that's not the answer, because I think it could be risky that, I don't know, you know, being scared of the refugees, that they are attacking us, it can become a real threat to people who are living in the countryside. But being scared of, like, yeah, maybe what the gay people will do to us, our children, yes, but otherwise it's...
I don't know, it's a question, what is the aim of the government? Like, so when we ask if they succeed, like what they really want with this whole propaganda, because there are many explanations for that. It can be from one side that there are crazy deals happening right now in Hungary with China and Russia, and that our government is always very smart about finding topics which they just, you know, put in there, and then everyone is concerning with that, and there are big demonstrations about that and articles, and then everyone is about dealing with, for example, now with the gay rights, because it's really very alarming and very painful to see. And then in the same time, in the background, like, I don't know, maybe you heard about, or I'm pretty sure you heard about the Pegasus scandal, and about all this, like how NGO members and journalists were being wiretapped and now, so this is one thing what they are doing, and the other thing is that they are talking to their voters, and that's the strategy of Fidesz, that they are gaining their voters by creating stronger and stronger enemies, and they know that those people who they are talking to, they will agree and they will be happy that our kids are being protected from the LGBTQ activists, because that's the narrative, that we have to protect our kids. But the third thing is, which they are succeeding, is that now if you are a gay person and you want to start a family, then you are either doing it completely illegally, or you are leaving, or you leave the country. And it's also a problem that, for example, there are many social aids for families, like helping with reducing taxes or giving you a better condition for taking the loan for a house. And for example, gay families, they don't have the possibility to take these. So there's also many other disadvantages. So if you say, like, I don't care, I'm gonna stay in Hungary, I will somehow get pregnant, or I will get a child, I'm going to form a family, but then that's just the first step, and then you have way many other steps which you have to fight your way through. And maybe there is a point when you say, okay, maybe I want to fight, but I don't want my kid suffer from this fight which I'm having. And then I rather leave the country and I create an atmosphere for my kid where she already can have a healthy upbringing and not all the time going, you are riding the car and then you have huge billboards saying that this is normal family, this is not, and we are going to protect our family, this is the enemy, and then kids are asking like, hey, why are they saying that it's the normal, and what about us? And then you have to explain all the time. So from one side, I would go for the idea that they won't succeed, because I really hope that they won't win the next elections in 2022 April, and then this whole shit will stop. But on the other side, they are doing really huge harm, because they are also giving this all kinds of hate speech, which until now it was just very far right hate speeches, but now it's coming from the state TV, exactly the same words. And that's if especially in the countryside where state TV is on all the time in the living room, and kids are growing up with these ideas in their head. I'm just really worried that how much harm we do. And because there is also, but I know it's another topic and I don't want to talk so long, but like education is also a really big problem in Hungary. There is not enough money for it. There is not, for teachers, there are no places where they can learn about differences, like what kind of different kids or what kind of different issues they will meet in their classes. So if back home parents cannot give this kind of sensitizing way of upbringing, the schools are not places for it. And now it's even forbidden, so in schools you cannot do open discussions, for example, about the LGBTQ questions. And so, yeah, I'm right now a bit pessimistic about these things, but let's hope that next year everything will change.
Any question from anyone?
You said you were going to have the elections next year, and are there any groups, or say LGBTQ people or other minorities, who are trying to start campaigning, who are trying to explain to people what is happening and what shouldn't be happening and how they might want to vote? Is there any campaigning going on now, or will there be?
You mean directly for the voters?
Yes, directly from the voters.
About LGBTQ?
Ordinary people forming groups who start a campaign, for example?
That's Nóra, I don't know if especially for the for next year's election, if there's anything like that, and the opposition, now I also can't speak English, the gathering of the opposition is also not, they are very strong in Budapest, but not so strong in the countryside. But for example, there's an activist thing that is called Family is Family. I don't know if you heard about it. So it's basically has been started by a gay couple, two guys, and they were also promoting our film in a way, because at this Hungarian festival where we had our premiere, they were our ambassadors, and what they are doing is really, really amazing, because they have a huge marketing connections, and they both work in these sectors, so they can reach a lot of people. And what they are saying is that it's really nice, because they cannot be attacked for doing a gay propaganda, because all they are saying is family is family, family is family. So it's like that people shouldn't differentiate. And I think what they are doing is kind of affecting the voters, or at least that's what I'm hoping, that they are reaching a lot of people. And what they are saying is that in Hungary, 40% of the population is homophobic, 40% is totally acceptive of gay people or rainbow families, and there's 20% that he calls the balancing, or who is once on this side and once on the other side, and with their campaign they are trying to reach those 20% that they are becoming more accepting.
Yeah, but directly for the question, there are now many NGOs who are aiming to go to the countryside and talk to people. So they have this huge task now, which they realize that it's needed right now before the elections. That for the countryside, for those people who don't have the possibility to have different or alternative media access on the state media, then they are going to the villages and they talk to people on the streets, if they let them in, then in schools, or they are trying to talk to local mayors. And this is like a whole movement now, and they are looking for volunteers, and I really hope that this will have some kind of effect. And I really think that this is a great idea, because the problem is that almost all the newspapers which are in the countryside are in the government's hand. So now there's not many channels where opposition people can reach the majority of the people who live in the countryside. So there are kind of these new movements which are aiming for the next year elections. But I also don't know about very directly and LGBTQ questions. But for example, of course, in the program of the new opposition party, there are very, very strong pro-LGBTQ laws and reforms which they want to change once they manage to get Orbán Viktor or Fidesz to change.
Okay, and the last question. For you as a filmmaker, the LGBT topic or the rainbow family topic or something in this field, for you it's woven for now, or maybe planning something new or similar or whatever? Are your filmmaking plans somehow close to what you've done with Virág?
For me, what's similar is not the LGBTQ topic, but becoming mothers or motherhood, and your place in a family, and I'm filming about my own family and about myself in a way. So like how I'm putting on my mother's role. So in that sense, it's you know, it has quite a big connection to that one, but not on the LGBTQ part.
Also, what I'm feeling now is about the pancreatic cancer guy who is fighting with a very, very difficult period in his life, and the way he's facing his illness is completely different as what's usual. So he's really taking it as a chance to face himself and face his existential questions and about like what makes us happy, what do we do here, why are we here, and what will we do to ourselves which makes us not happy. All these very easy questions. So that's also a completely different topic, but I think the approach is very similar. It's really the same. So being as close to the protagonist as it's possible, and to really find the honest journey of this difficult period in his life.
So thank you very much for your time. It was interesting, it was great. Thank you very much also.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And it would be really nice to see to hear what people thought after watching the film. So if you will have a little thought and discussion, then Katarina, you can write us later what the people felt about the film. It would be very, very grateful.
Sure. Okay. So thank you very much. And bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.